All right, this is the quarterly video for Visualizing Mastery. Just that I take you through what I want to do this quarter. It's kind of weird because I had scheduled an hour with you now. I'm assuming this is Nell watching it. I don't know why anyone else would watch it, but I had scheduled an hour with you to work on my goals for the quarter and what I plan to accomplish. And deep down inside, I was like, kind of just want to run an experiment and write it up. And so I pitched it to you, and you're like, yeah, I think that'd be good. And so that's what we're doing. We didn't need that hour to talk about, yeah, let's go for it. Because, I think we've been prepping for this, and the way that well, I'll tell you all the reasons why I think we can do it. That's the point of this video, is to kind of take you through the plan of what I'm thinking and why I think I can get it done. So I'm not overreaching or anything. And then talk about areas where I might fall and where I might need your most support, etc. Okay, so Sprint 0 and 1 have already happened. We're actually in Sprint 1 right now, and that was where we developed the vision. I think this was the most promising. This was just great. Executed beautifully, started developing this project, got a good question underway, and really started to think about what is this space we're involving in, what are we trying to see, what is that vision. And just to kind of tell you where I'm at is that I really want to look at this self-reflection or this understanding of learning state to the extreme. Okay, so when we talk about visualizing your learning state or visualizing your mastery, how can that just be embedded in the system? How can everything just be about understanding what you have learned? Oh, here's the next card. Understanding what you have learned, what you still need to learn, the moments when you've learned, and then being able to reflect and say, well, did I learn? So even though I identified, yeah, I've learned here, being able to articulate and say, this is what I learned. And just taking that to the extreme. So just, if we can build all these things within a system, how does learning change? And that's really what we're looking at, is how do people behave differently if they understand every part, or if they're able to articulate and understand how they are learning through visualizations and just the process, the system. So super excited about it. Yeah, and I don't need to go into why I'm so excited, but yeah, it's going to be great. So where do I need to go? So Sprint 1 and 2, we are going to be building, reading, and prototyping. When I say build, talked about this before, there's two strands that we need to build: the digital learning system itself and the mastery components within the system. So when I say digital learning system, I'm just talking about some software that tries to teach a kid something. Okay, and then what I want to be able to do is play around with all the components, and in this case, play around with the mastery component to see what can we change to really see if kids are reflecting on their learning, and if they really understand where they're at, and really take it to the extreme, because that's kind of the goal of what we're doing. Why I feel confident in that is that I feel like I have the technical skills if we're just using the medium of iOS device. And also I feel confident in this is because at any second I can paper prototype, right? I've got the chemistry lessons that we can use, and so I can just print those out, kind of draw up some mastery components that I think would address the areas of mastery that I want to be able to reflect, and we could do a lesson, and I can walk the kid through the lesson. I could even teach it and then work on that mastery component in there to see if there's any effect. So I love this because it's not out of my reach. If anything, it's right where I'm at in terms of being a teacher, designer, researcher, etc. So after we've built, read and prototype, reading, there's probably a lot more to mastery than just those 4 extreme points I was putting out there. So understanding how literature views self-reflection, self-growth, understanding mastery, visualizing mastery, how literature has studied that, what we should be looking for, how we should be designing it to best promote growth. Those are all things that I can figure or need to figure out as I build. So reading will definitely be an essential component in those week 1 and 2, or sprint 1 and 2. And then once I've got something, I got to start running, experimenting, prototyping, just saying like, are we finding anything? Like, does visualizing your mastery state actually change your behavior? How does it help you? How does it hurt you? Is it just like more clicks, or do you gain something from it? So that's going to be a long time, sprint 2 through 4. I expect a lot of tweaking, a lot of maybe layering on the mastery, and see how the different ones kind of stack up on each other, how behavior changes with a lot of them. But in the end, I want to be able to see students really articulate what they have learned, what they can learn, when they've learned, exactly articulate what they did learn through a lesson, and see if we can push it so those things are just very, very evident and clear within our experiment. And I think that might take a little bit of time and tweaking with the design. Yep. And then the last sprint, I'm not sure exactly what weeks these are, but I want to write. Oh gosh, I forgot about this. Why I think I can do this is because I feel like I have done enough interviews, or been a part of enough interviews during two prototyping processes. And in my opinion, qualitative research on prototypes is much easier than explorative research, because prototypes, I feel, are pretty straightforward in terms of what you need to ask and what you need to look to see if they've done or done something, or have done or not done something. Yeah, so I feel confident that I can run through that experiment. It might be a little sloppy, and I'll definitely learn some skills along the way, but feel good. I have been a part of those, part of this process before, and can model and mimic such. Week 9 and 10, right? I want to spend that last sprint writing to see if I can tell the story of my research, to see if this whole plan, this whole quarter, if I was asking good questions, if I was running experiments well, if I was spending my time wisely, and if I found anything of value that other people can learn from. The ideal outcome would be able to create or write some findings that I could possibly present at a conference. So like a poster. And I don't think it's out of my reach. Writing, I love. Taught a couple classes on how to write research papers. I do have to get in the mindset, because I haven't been in the mindset of research writing for a while. So hopefully it'll come with reading, but they don't always translate. But as long as I give myself the time, I'm careful with it, and I know exactly what I'm shooting for, so I can kind of see other people's work, then yeah, in the last couple of weeks we can write some pretty amazing stuff. That's my quarterly goals. Do some awesome stuff. The one setback that I already know is coming is investing in the students. Here's the thing. I was really lucky to do research on digital education. I know that hands down, that for some reason the fates aligned, and I got some good experience. And so I know a lot that can help a lot of people. So it's going to be how do I balance my time by working on my project versus helping others? And you guys kind of already have seen that, by me volunteering for the class and teaching the class, and helping out with Josh and Armand with their cooperative board games, and another group had reached out and wants to talk more about outcomes and how that fits into the scheme of their design and whether or not they have an outcome that they really want to invest in. I think they're really important questions, so that's why I want to offer my help. But I do have to be worried about myself and the execution of my sprint plan. So that will probably be the most important part in terms of you helping me and keeping my sanity is just having me take a step back lots and lots of times. This class is great. It's cool that I can do all these things, and I'm very, very excited. And perhaps the best thing would be for me to be able to say like, "Yay, look what you can do in a quarter," and also maybe if I do this class again, is to be able to say, "Hey, look what we can do in a quarter," and start being able to take people through that process. Have some more people get on board with some of my stuff that I'm working on. So, all right. Thanks for listening. Much love. Super excited about the quarter.